Ankang is a prefecture-level city in Shanxi Province, China. Historically, this place was known for its tranquility, with few notable figures or major events. It was a peaceful, small city where life was relatively easy. However, in the mid-1990s, Ankang was rocked by a series of horrifying incidents involving a serial killer. This criminal terrorized Ankang railway station and the surrounding rail lines, committing a series of gruesome murders. Within just 8 months, he claimed the lives of 12 people, earning the ominous nickname, the Phantom Killer of the railway station. On February 28, 1996, the 10th day of the Lunar New Year, Ankang City was still immersed in the festive atmosphere of spring. Around 6 a.m., less than a kilometre from Ankang railway station, a passerby discovered a body lying by the roadside and immediately alerted the railway police. The railway police quickly arrived at the scene. Examination revealed that the victim was an elderly man who had been struck on the head 11 times with a hard object, likely a hammer. 3 of the blows had fractured his skull, causing severe brain trauma that led to his death. The brutality suggested a ruthless killer. Initially, the police did not believe robbery was the motive, as the victim was modestly dressed and did not appear wealthy. However, upon closer inspection, they discovered the victim's belongings had been stolen. Identifying the victim was crucial for determining the motive and tracking down the perpetrator. But despite weeks of investigation, the police made little progress. While the Ankang Railway Police were fully engaged in investigating this case, more grim news followed. Between February 28th and March 6th, less than a week later, 3 more murders occurred around Ankang railway station. The modus operandi was similar, and the victims included 2 men and 1 woman. The 2 male victims were farmers in their 50s who had come to the station to catch trains. The police found 1,200 yuan, approximately $165, in one of the men's pockets, a substantial sum in 1996. It was unclear whether the killer had missed the money or if robbery wasn't his main objective. The murder of the female victim was even more shocking. At the scene, police found the young woman, about 20 years old, had been raped and then murdered. Her shirt was pulled up to her abdomen, and her pants were down to her calves. Her skull was shattered, and brain matter had spilled out. Autopsy results revealed she was 6 months pregnant with a boy, making it a double homicide. The 4th rib had been broken by a heavy object, and her liver had suffered severe trauma. The police deduced that she was fatally beaten, raped while barely alive, and then killed. A chilling detail was the word revenge carved deeply into her abdomen with a sharp knife, tearing the skin. Oddly, half of her long hair had been cut off and taken by the killer. Nearby, just a few meters from the body, was a tombstone freshly inscribed with the words, "Kill all who betray." This suggested a deeply disturbed and vengeful mindset. In less than 8 days, 3 murders occurred in the same area of Ankang railway station, all at dawn. The killer's signature was striking the victim's head with a blunt object. Recognizing the similarities, the police concluded these were the acts of a single perpetrator and combined the cases into one investigation. On the afternoon of March 6th, realizing the severity of the case, the Zhengzhou Railway Public Security Bureau immediately reported to the Beijing Railway Public Security Bureau. The Ministry of Public Security immediately ordered the case to be solved in the shortest time possible. On March 8th, the Zhengzhou Railway Public Security Bureau gathered in Ankang, forming a special task force of 71 people to investigate the 3 cases simultaneously. The entire task force operated at maximum speed, vowing to bring the perpetrator to justice. At this point, the most pressing task for the special task force was to identify the victims. After a thorough investigation, the police finally identified the first victim as Yang Xingfu, a 58-year-old welder in a construction team. The second victim was Yan Ji Guang, a 52-year-old farmer. The pregnant female victim was surnamed Yu, just 22 years old, and also a local farmer. Investigations revealed that the pregnant woman left her husband's home on the morning of March 5th, carrying only 10 yuan. Tragically, she was murdered in the early hours of March 6th. Initially, the task force assumed that the perpetrator committed the crime for robbery and sexual assault. However, this did not entirely add up. The victim only carried a small amount of money, and why would the killer target an ordinary-looking pregnant woman for assault? Without determining the motive, the investigation began to stall. Meanwhile, the killer continued to commit heinous acts. On March 11th, at Xi'an Station, an elderly man named Zhuo Yueshui was murdered, suffering 11 stab wounds. On the evening of March 12th, at Hanzhong Station in Shanxi Province, a man in his 50s and his wife in her 40s were also brutally murdered. All the victims had been struck on the head with a hammer. Given the killer's brutality, it was clear that he would continue his rampage unless caught swiftly. The task force mobilized forces and patrolled day and night at stations surrounding Ankang Station. In the 1990s, criminal investigations lacked the advanced surveillance systems and networks available today, so police relied primarily on manpower. They meticulously screened every suspect around the railway stations. Despite days of rigorous investigation, they had no breakthroughs. The killer was evidently a serial murderer, moving around railway stations along the line, waiting for opportunities to strike. After careful analysis, the task force decided to deploy a large number of undercover officers to secretly monitor Ankang Station and nearby areas. Around 2 a.m. on March 16th, a train stopped at the station. 3 officers were inspecting suspicious individuals on platform 2. Among the crowd, they noticed a short man acting suspiciously. Upon inspection, the man could not produce a train ticket or identification. When the police prepared to search him further, he reached toward his belt, as if to draw something. The officers immediately subdued the man and took him to the station for a thorough search. They found an iron hammer and a dagger on his belt, both bearing dried blood. In the left pocket of his coat, they discovered a bundle of women's hair wrapped in floral fabric, also stained with blood. It was clear that he was the prime suspect. The task force immediately began interrogating him at Ankang Station. When questioned, the suspect identified himself as Du Yanquan from Shun County, Shanxi Province, but provided no additional information. The task force had to escort him to headquarters and dispatched officers to his hometown that night to investigate his background and social connections. They also arranged forensic testing of the hair found on him. The forensic results confirmed that the hair belonged to the pregnant female victim. Handwriting analysis showed a high match between Du's handwriting and inscriptions found at the crime scenes. In Du Yanquan's belongings at the lodge where he stayed, the police found several items belonging to the victims, including wallets and gold rings. Meanwhile, reports from his hometown revealed more details. Du Yanquan had a criminal history dating back to age 12, when he was caught stealing. He was later sentenced to 6 years in prison for trafficking women. He had been released from prison on July 19, 1995. Confronted with irrefutable evidence and expert interrogation, Du quickly confessed to his crimes. According to his confession, Du Yanquan was born on April 5, 1969, in Zhaoyuan Village, Changsha Township, Shun County, Shanxi Province. He once had a girlfriend who became pregnant, but he was imprisoned before she gave birth. After his release, Du searched for her but failed to find her. Believing she had betrayed him, he grew furious and vowed revenge. Just 2 months after his release in 1995, he killed a man in his 50s with a hammer after being caught stealing. In November 1995, he murdered 2 women on a long-distance bus and threw their bodies into a river. In December 1995, he robbed and killed another woman. In March 1996, Du killed a man near the railway line in Baihe County, Shanxi Province. This meant that, From his release in July 1995 until his capture on March 16, 1996, only 8 months, Du had wandered like a ghost around railway stations, committing 11 crimes and killing 12 people. His actions were random. He did not know the victims, nor was he motivated by robbery or sexual assault. He was simply driven by a desire for revenge against society. When asked why he committed the murders, Du replied, "No reason. I just wanted to. After getting out of prison, I had nothing left and felt life was meaningless. I wanted revenge on a society that was unfair to me. I planned to keep going until you caught me." For his crimes, Du Yan Quan was sentenced to death by the Shanxi Provincial People's Court and was executed immediately. What do you think about today's case? Please leave your comments below so we can discuss it together. Don't forget to support us with a like and subscribe to the channel to motivate our team to bring more dramatic cases. And that concludes today's case. Thank you, dear viewers, for watching. Goodbye, and see you next time.